welcome. By this time, 43 people are attending. So we'll be talking a little bit about managing a data lake project and how IT architecture drives the work breakdown structure. It's I'm doing this in a new form in this sense that I don't think a very good in-depth webinar can't be done in an hour, because then everybody dozes off, and it's quite hot here in Europe, and maybe also in States, and probably in India as well. So I'll keep it short and make this in sort of an introduction, and then I'll move on to direct you to my blog, where I'll be publishing in-depth articles, ending with a work breakdown structure, an actual work breakdown structure for a project in Microsoft Projects, which you can download at the end of the series. But well, without further ado, let's try to make things move on a bit. So this is the agenda. We'll discuss what a data lake is, what capabilities it supports, and talk a little bit about the modern data architecture of today, and of course what this means to the organization and how this affects data lake project management. So what is a data lake? A very simple definition. If it's a technical definition, that's simple. It's an S3 bucket on Amazon, or an Azure Lake storage on Azure, or probably another file system on Google or any other cloud provider. It's a bucket. But if you don't manage it, well, you can have serious trouble. So a data lake can provide us with the technology to cope with the challenges of various data formats, which come into various frequencies, which can have sometimes massive bursts when everybody consults your website, or hands in information at an unforeseen time. So what are the capabilities? Well, the major capabilities are about automated discovery. Let me see if I can move on to the next one. Yeah, so it's about automated discovery, cataloging, and classification of ingested data. It's also about providing collaborative options for evaluating the ingested data. So you can have some social aspects, social engineering aspects to rate data that has been ingested. It is also governance of quality, governance of reliability, security, and privacy aspects, as well as lifecycle management of the data, because sometimes you don't have to keep all data for all times. It also facilitates data preparation for analytical purposes, and it can also work in an unsupervised way and sort of present data in a consumable way without human intervention. It provides a business with an intuitive search and discovery platform. And of course, it archives data when and where necessary. Some vendors, they use the term data marketplace to stress the self-service aspects. And I guess in very nice interfaced applications, you have a sort of shopping experience. You can fill your shopping carts with data. So if it's governed, then we're talking about the data lake. If it's not governed, it probably becomes a data swamp. Now, if you look at where data comes from, in the old days, it was more, let's say that in the old days, it was about what was happening on the top of this schedule. You had your customers, your suppliers, your employees, other parties who participated in an event, which triggered a process, which of course was supported by an application, and data was captured there. Now we also have very much to do with outside events like Internet of Things data, which is sensor data. We have web data coming in. We have all sorts of other data other than business process managed data, other than structured data. So we get lots of unstructured data. We get entire documents coming in, and you have to process these in a very clear and understandable way for the business. So you don't have the classic ETL anymore. We'll be talking a bit later about that. But let's say that today data galore and data are still growing at an incredible rate, and managing these data for decision making is quite a challenge. If you look at the data, well, let's zoom in a little bit on the data. You have measures, you have transaction data, you have semi-structured messages, and you have entire literature. So you have to combine text mining with data warehousing, for instance. You have to do complex event processing, which also relies on data warehousing, but which can also be streaming analytics. So you have many approaches which need to be supported by a government environment which is capable of ingesting data even before you know what the value of the data is. I think that's a very important aspect. We'll be talking about that later on as well. Now, if you look at the capabilities, the functional blocks in the middle are very clear. So you have to mix and match the different technologies where you try to put structure in, at first sight, unstructured things. Think of a JSON string, which can use lots of levels of nesting, which is quite flexible and quite interesting if you're in an NoSQL environment. But if you want to read that data, then that can be quite a challenge. So you need to present this in a tabular form, which makes it more readable. If you're talking about customer data, you have many sources of customer data, so you need to integrate them. Same goes for process data. If you have documents or product data, you have to set the context, you have to add meaning, and you have to have, of course, just-in-time data flows. So it's about knowledge representation in a single architecture. It's integration of any data source and type, context setting and attributing meaning to data, and of course, just-in-time data flows, as the slide says. Now, a classic data lake architecture, you have to read this from left to right. So you have your different data sources on the left side, which need to be loaded before you do any processing. And then in the middle of that middle block, you see that monitoring and system management is at the basis of it. And it is all supported by reference and master data management, governance management, metadata and data structure management, and data lifecycle management. And the processes which keep flowing are about workflow, data processing, information consumption, and storage. And then you go to your extract zone, where you sort of try to deliver that integrated data, and where you can use it for decision support systems under various forms, like sandboxing, where you try to prove a hypothesis or try to discover the value of data, streaming analytics, ad hoc queries, machine learning, OLAP cubes, which is the classical approach, of course, reporting, and storytelling. Now, let's talk a bit about the business case, which in the second article of the series, which will be published next week, I'll go a little bit more into details, but let me already give you some idea. So when we are mixing on-premise data with cloud-based systems, we cause new silos. There are many companies who are moving data to the cloud, but some storage cannot be moved to the cloud for various reasons.
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.